Hey everybody, welcome to Swim Exercises with Miss Natalie in my house. Today we're going to be focusing on freestyle technique. So sometimes kids remember when we have endurance days versus technique days. Today's going to be technique. The only materials that you're going to need today is an open space, chair, a table, and optionally a pillow or something to kind of cushion you, and some goggles and a water bottle. I'm going to be doing these exercises just for a couple of repetitions for the sake of brevity. But if you'd like, go ahead and pause the video and keep doing those exercises before moving on to the next one. A good rule of thumb is 10 repetitions. So we're gonna break it down into 6 sections. Warm up, body alignment, kicking, breathing, our arms, and finally a cool down. I'm also gonna be putting links of the timestamps in the bottom where the description is, so that way you guys can easily click and go to each section you want to practice. If you wanna keep it short, just follow along with me. Otherwise, let's go ahead and get started. Start by gradually pushing into your range of motion. So start really small, little sprinkler nose. As you get more comfortable, then you can start to push into it a little more. A little more. Never do whatever's uncomfortable, especially with stretching when you're first starting out. Start going your head roll side to side, up and down, make circles with your nose. Start walking out your feet. You can be doing both at the same time. All right, then we're gonna do some jogging in place. You cross your arms over your chest, nice and wide, and then hug yourself, nice and wide. Hug yourself. I'm gonna look a little silly today. All right, you're gonna reach up and over, up and over, up and over. We're gonna take our arms, go down, brush the floor. Come on, back up around. Brush the floor, come on back up around. Do maybe one more of those. Last side. Excellent, okay. So next we're gonna do some butt kickers. So you're warming up your quads, which are the front of your thighs. So hit the butt that's directly behind you. All right, now cross behind. Try to do the opposite cheek. All right, once you get the range of motion with that, then you can start picking up your pace. Go a little faster. Back, back, cross, cross, back, back, cross, cross. Try to change sides each time. Work your brain and your muscles. All right, now we're gonna start to do high knees. Start working out our hip flexors, your glutes, get those a good stretch. And start picking up your pace. A little faster, a little faster, a little faster. And super fast. Good. Go as high as you can go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, ready to do some jumping jacks? Try to keep your arms and legs totally straight. All right, I want to see this. All right, or this. Don't be a penguin. Get your arms all the way up and over. We're gonna do some arm circles. For freestyle, we're gonna go one at a time. All right, so get one foot in front of the other, get a good swing in. All right, we're working on our mobility. So nice and relaxed, work on that shoulder. Maybe go back a bit. All right, now switch arms. Find what feels good. All right, now we're gonna kind of break our brains a little bit. Do some opposites. Open a book, clap, and then close the book, clap. Open the book, close the book. And then you're gonna keep going. One arm goes forward, one arm goes backwards. Super fancy. We're on to our first section with body alignment. We're gonna be talking about what your body should be looking like overall when you're in the water. So everybody, go ahead, lay down, but don't stay down for too long. I want you to lay down, move your hair if you have to. I want you to feel the extension at the top of your head, all the muscles and bones that are pressing into the ground, down to your heel. One straight line. This is what it should feel like when you swim, right? We're not craning our neck, we're not drooping our neck, we're not moving our head back and forth, right? It's really simple. Your whole body is neutral in the water. All right, raise your arms up. And we're gonna flip it onto our tummy, your forehead. So if you got glasses, take them off. Your forehead is going to be pressing into the ground for a second. Ready? Set, flip. Get situated. This, my friends, I'm going to move my arms so you can see my face. This is what it should look like when you swim. All right? If I were to take this into a plank, please do so. We're going to do a plank in a second while I explain. Just like what we did earlier, when you're swimming, you don't want to be all the way here looking at your toes. You don't want to be drooping. Right? You don't want to be craning your neck and pinching your neck forward. All right? It's nice and neutral. Your gaze is either down or just slightly forward. Okay? So go ahead. We're going to hold our plank this time for 20 seconds, starting now. All right. That's about 20 seconds. I think I lost count. All right, so that's a good example. Another thing you can do is if you have a parent around, please do this with someone observing. You can get a piano bench, try this off the edge of your bed where something else is supporting you, and you try to keep a neutral neck. Here we are with our piano bench or stool or chair. You're gonna try to keep your head and your feet in line with one another, okay? I wanna see this, and I wanna see this, and I wanna see this. Ready? You're gonna hold it for 10 seconds. I'm gonna set a timer up for you guys. Meet me back in 10 seconds. On to the next section, we're going to be focusing on our kicks, the fine and major muscle groups that we use in order to kick from our hips all the way down to our toes. When we're swimming, I see a lot of kicking that tends to look like this. The dreaded butt kick. Please do not do this. All right, when you kick, your kick should happen, it should start from your hip, go all the way down to your toe. So we're gonna exaggerate that to start with, just so you can get a sense for how your whole leg moves. All right, so one leg goes completely off of the ground, and you're gonna set it down, nice and close to your other foot. You want them to be touching. All the way up, and down, all the way up, and down. And if you can't go that high, that's fine. Just go with your range of motion. But you see here, I'm able to get my thigh off of the ground. The whole thing is moving together. I'm not bending from the knee. My whole leg is moving instead. See the difference? That's just the first step. Next, what we want to do is we want to make it smaller. It should look something a little more like this. All right, you might not be able to tell very well, but I'm still lifting off of my thighs, right? It's just not very much. Okay, so next we're gonna drum the floor with our legs. So if you need a cushion, go ahead and grab one now. Okay, so ready? You're gonna start drumming your feet. A little faster, a little faster, a little faster, a little faster, a little faster. And done. Next step after that, we're gonna start thinking about our feet. Clearly, you don't wanna be kicking like this, you're gonna hurt your toes. And we do wanna point them, but we don't want them to be so hard and tight, right? We wanna have a little bit of fluidity with them. So go ahead and sit on your bottom. The idea when you kick is your foot and ankle should be a little bit relaxed. That way you can whip the water kind of like a fish would. Get that propulsion that way. So here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna lean back on your hands. You're gonna relax your ankle and be a little silly. You're gonna flop your foot. Flop, 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 flop. Right. Let it all kind of jiggle. All right, so when you kick, you do want them to be pointed, but you don't want them to be super, super hard. So it should look a little something like this. When you kick, yes, you want your legs to be straight with a minimal to slight bend in your knee, right? You don't want to be so tight, right, that you don't have any flexibility, but straight enough, right? Close together with a relaxed ankle so your foot can flop a little bit. Pointed toes still. All right, that's kind of one of the nuances that can be harder to do, but it's important to practice. All right, so we're back for our next section for breathing. At this point, we should have a table and a chair. If you don't have those, go ahead and go get them, in addition to goggles if you would like. All right, I'm gonna wait. Are they back yet? So I'm extending my arm, and I'm getting my edge of my ear and cheek touching the table so I can feel the line going from the crown of my head all the way to my hip. Okay, we're gonna try to have that nice neutral spine. Right, and next we're gonna gently start to turn our head and ears. If your hips open up a little bit, that's okay. 30 to 45 degree angle when you swim is perfectly fine. What we don't want is when you would be leaning on the table, is when you'd be 45, 50, 60, 70. As you're turning your head, I wanna make sure you're still feeling the contact with the table on the side of your head. All right, when you do your side breath, instead of looking sideways, I want you to think about looking diagonally behind you, like you're looking just past your shoulder. Okay, this is gonna help us breathe in the trough. I'm gonna put a picture somewhere on the screen of what that looks like. Kids, do you remember when we talk about having the unicorn horn, not having it pointing out of the water, but in the water? You want it to be in line with the rest of your body, just like how it would be when you were normally had your head down. All you're doing is just turning, looking slightly behind you. Okay? Next, we're gonna work on our hum bubbles. So when you breathe, you wanna make sure that you're not holding your breath for a couple of reasons. Hum bubbles help us, or nose bubbles help us by, first of all, making sure water doesn't go up our nose when either we're swimming or as we're turning to take a breath. Also, a little more importantly, we wanna make sure we're exhaling, so carbon dioxide isn't building up in our body, which can cause fatigue and which can cause poor performance, and eventually you're going to need to exhale it. Right? So that's why we want to be continuously blowing out the entire time you're swimming. This time, before we get started on our hum bubbles, I want you to plant your bottom foot, make sure it's underneath your hips so you have good balance. Here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna start looking to the side, looking by on that shoulder, and take a breath through your mouth, and you're gonna hum as you rotate your head down. Hum, keep humming as you turn back. I'm gonna hum here for 3 seconds because we don't swim by turning our head all of the time. And then start again. When you breathe, we don't want to stay here forever. You want to be sneaky, okay? And when you're swimming, and people who have their goggles on or glasses, you can feel this too. You want to make sure half of your face is still in the water when you breathe. You don't need that much above the water clearance in order for you to breathe, right? So it's like your cheek and ear and top of your head should still be wet, and even the bottom part of your bottom goggle should still be wet, right? There's the water would be right in front of my nose, like here. Okay, so you're gonna come up for a quick chomp of air, and then you're gonna turn your head quickly back down, right? So that way you can focus on swimming more. So I'm gonna move my arm out of the way so you can see better. See how I turn my head back quickly? That's the goal. We don't wanna be here and keep turning. All right, so practice that 5 more times, and I'm gonna meet you back in a second. Okay, so first, let's talk about our hands. When you swim, your hands should be a spoon, not a fork, okay? Sometimes we're really focusing on reaching and stretching. People can kind of overstretch their fingers, right, and all the water escapes through. So while you do want to have a spoon, you want to make sure it's soft and gentle instead of like, right, martial art hands, right? You want to make them shaped but soft, okay? Just like how you had that floppy foot, that relaxed ankle for your kick, right? So you're reaching all the way forward. It goes fingertips, wrists, elbow. See how my elbow is in line with my shoulder as you swim, right? Fingertip, wrist, elbow, shoulder. Pull down. And for us Crocs, right, I might have talked to you about bent arm recovery, right? The idea, regardless if you're doing straight arm or bent, is that your elbow is higher, that your elbow is pointed up, right? And as you return over, it goes fingertip, wrist, elbow, okay? What I mean by high up is I mean they're pointing up instead of slinging your arms out to the side, which can be a common problem, right? So for this, you're gonna need your chair, okay? We're gonna pretend we have a railroad track, okay? So the idea, go ahead and walk your hips back, nice flat back. Fingertips touch, they reach down, and you're gonna imagine that the track is in between your feet and the ends of your chair, right there, okay? If you need to put tape down, like painter's tape, ask your parents first. If you need to put painter's tape so you have a stronger line to follow, that's fine. Just get the permission first. All right, so fingertip goes down. We don't want to cross in front of our bodies, so in between your feet. You want to stay in line between the edge of the chair's feet and the tip of your toe. We don't want to go out. Our hand is staying in line with our shoulder and on a railroad track. Same thing when you come back up and over. The idea is hopefully your hand should still be in line with that railroad track. So if you need to have somebody watch you while you do this, you can even carefully, as long as there's no pictures or you have permission to do so, you can practice against a wall. Just make sure you don't make any smudge marks. All right, so that way you're knowing that you're not going too far out. All right, so hands down. So for this one, once you get the hang of that, of keeping your hand in line in front and up and over, down and up and over, you want to make sure next, what we're going to do is we're going to stretch your leg out. A lot of the times I see people move their arm and then they stop. And they either go back under or they have a short recovery where they have to go across. I want you to stretch your leg out, and you can rest it on another chair if you need to. So that way you have a better sense of the length of your body as you're swimming, right? So when you move your hand down, it goes all the way down past your hip, past your thigh, and then comes straight up and over. Right, and I'm going to switch legs. Catch your balance first. Go down, brush your leg, come straight up and over, and then try to grab the chair. If you miss the chair, like I just did, you know that you must have gone too far out. Right, and if you're touching your hand when you come back around, you know that you're crossing your body, which isn't good either. Okay, so practice that for 10 more repetitions. All right, so if you're on our last section, congratulations, you've made it. It's cool down and stretch. Thank you so much for watching this whole video and for joining us for the last part, right? Cooling down and stretching, is really important. You want to be taking care of your body before, during, and after you exercise. Your body needs to be like a well-oiled machine, right? In the ways that you exercise, the way that you treat it with sports medicine, and the way that you feed it. So everyone should be drinking water after this, okay? If you have more intense exercise, for every 20 minutes of moderate exercise, every 15 minutes of intense exercise, you need to be drinking water, whether that's little sips throughout the exercise or at the end, taking big gulps, right? You don't want to gulp during, right? You don't give yourself an upset stomach. Right, so you're just gonna kind of find what feels good. Right now, my shoulders are pretty tight. So if you liked this video, please let me know. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, ways that I can make this better or more helpful for you. If you have any questions, please let me know, or let Anitra know so she can let me know. I'm gonna do something kind of fun. I'm gonna work on our balance. We're gonna stretch out our glutes. So you're gonna cross your leg over to the top, and you're gonna act like you're sitting down in a chair. So this is stretching out our glute and a little bit of our inner thigh, and you're also working on balance, which can be really tricky at the end of exercise. You need to grab onto a chair, that's okay, right? Balance is really important so that way you can prevent injury later on. Okay, let me know what you guys would like to work on next. What stroke, or if you need me to break down a technique even further. So, for example, breathing. All right, do your last stretch, whatever that may be. Find what feels good. And we're gonna be done. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Stay healthy, stay safe, and we'll see you next time.